Now, Voice of America says Millennial and Generation Z voters were expected to turn out in record numbers for the 2020 U.S. presidential election. It would be continuing a trend of increased participation since the midterm elections in 2018. Among the nearly 240 million eligible voters in the United States today, about 20% are 18 to 29-year-olds who are able to cast their ballots in Tuesday's elections. While social media has been key in bringing those young voters together, we're joined by Amartya Sharma. He's a student at the Petty School in New Jersey. Amartya, you're only 17 this year, so not sure you're quite yet able to participate in the actual vote, but you certainly have been key in terms of getting people together and making sure they understand the importance of voting.
Yes, that is correct. And thank you for having me on. I am 17, so I'm not old enough to vote yet, but there are a lot of people my age who are incredibly motivated by a set of issues and by a set of candidates, and so we still feel that we can do our part to get those who are old enough to vote around us to the polls and make sure that we have our voices heard.
And just tell me about what it is that you have been doing. Is it door-to-door campaigns? How have you been approaching people?
Yeah, so most of it has been actually phone calls. Door-to-door campaigning is still unsafe, relatively, and so there are many people. The Biden campaign in forms hasn't really done that all too much. We have in numbers, fair numbers leading up to the election, but most of the campaign has been phone calls. I know everyone around me has been making phone calls into crucial areas of voting. And so that has really played a difference. And I think in the numbers that are coming in now and the slim margins with which some of these more crucial states are coming down, you'll see that those phone call initiatives were incredibly important in deciding this election as well as elections generally.
And the issues that you as young people are taking an interest in, what are those issues, Amartya?
For young people, climate change is certainly an important issue, and the response by the Republican Party and by President Trump has left a lot of young people really disappointed in how the United States has not played as large of a role globally as many would expect the United States to play on an issue like climate change. And so that has certainly been important for many young people. Young people are concerned about student debt and college debt and the differences between the two parties and the two candidates in addressing that issue. But more generally, issues like the economy and healthcare are also important for young people as well, as we try to find our place as students, as people who are new into the workforce. And so there's a large set of issues, but we come at them with our own particular angle as young people growing up in a new century now.
I'm keen to hear what the response of people on the other end of the line has been, receiving a call from you or one of your mates saying, hey, go vote.
Well, most people, as you might imagine, don't answer their phone. But when we get people to answer their phones and we're able to talk to people, just getting our message out there, making sure that people are simply reached out to by campaigns makes a huge difference in terms of people feeling seen and feeling heard. And that dramatically increases people's chances of not just voting for our particular candidate, in this case Vice President Biden, but in general going out to vote because they feel like they're a part of the system. And oftentimes politics can be removed from the people that are supposed to be represented, and people can get disenfranchised. But as we're seeing now, there's a record turnout across the board. Vice President Biden has just passed President Obama's threshold and become the candidate who has received the most votes, most total number of votes nationally in U.S. history. And so there is a lot of enthusiasm right now around defeating Donald Trump in particular. And young people seem to be a catalyst for that change.
Amartya, I'm keen to know, what do you want to do once you're done with school? Is politics anywhere in your arena?
I think I'm like most young people in that regard. We haven't found our, many of us we're often still deciding a large swath of potential career opportunities. But in terms of this election, I just know that myself and a lot of teenagers, a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Zers even are just trying to do our part for today.
Yeah.
And over this past summer, that was the case to make sure that we have a change in leadership down the ballot in our communities. And so again, there's been an incredible response to this election, and I think the numbers are starting to bear that out.
Amartya Sharma, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations to you and some of your buddies for being able to get this done. He is with the Petty School in New Jersey.